What's up? So, I really, I like, and I know a lot of fucking YouTubers say this shit, but I was not looking forward to making this video, and I did not want to have to make this video. I mean, part of me kind of wanted to make this video, but my main point is that I really didn't want to have to make a video like this about this particular topic. So I did say that there was going to probably be another Complain-A-Thon sometime this year because it's kind of a series I want to do. Unfortunately, the topic of today's Complain-A-Thon, if you didn't read the title, is about Behemoth's new album, I Loved You at Your Darkest. This this fucking album irritates me. It genuinely upsets me. And the thing is that so I think I've made it no secret that The Satanist is my favorite album of all time, like of any genre from any other band. Satanist is my favorite album. That album legitimately changed my life, right? And I don't use that as like some fucking emo kid in high school is like, oh, this fucking Sleeping with Sirens, he changed my life. And I don't say that lightly. Like I genuinely fucking mean that The Satanist it changed my life. Like it did. It's a very fucking important album to me, and not only that, it's like I know it sounds like I bought into all the hype in 2014 that Behemoth, this is Behemoth's best album, it's the best album of the year. For me it was. And I listen to that album at least like once a week, once every 2 weeks at the least. I adore it. I know practically every word, every bass note, every fucking guitar, every fucking riff, drum beat, everything. So I knew that Behemoth's new album when it came out, it was not going to live up to it wasn't going to live up to the Satanist, at least not for me. And that again, that's fair enough. I lowered my expectations accordingly. I accepted the fact that hey, if it doesn't live up to the Satanist, it's not going to be the worst thing in the world. It could still be a very fucking good album. Behemoth, in my opinion, has never had they've never had a flop of an album. Like everything that they've put out has at least been like more than half of this is listenable, more than half. And even if it wasn't like if even if it wasn't like more than half of this is listenable, like at least every song I can get through and not be irritated. Like they sound like they've a couple songs that or okay, say let me go on to me phone real quick. So from Sventivith, Grom, and the Forest Dream Eternally, Pandemonic, and from all that, they went from just straight up black metal to Pandemonic Incantations, which is the beginning of their black and death metal era, and then they went on to Thelma 6, Demigod, The Apostasy, fucking Zolski's Cultist, Satanica, and they had a gradual transition to that, which I think probably helped. Which is one of my whole reasons for enjoying Whitechapel's new fucking album. I acknowledge that it's kind of trashy, but I enjoyed it myself. I have no shame in admitting that. But and then from Evangelion, they went from Evangelion to the new sound of the Satanist. And that, granted, that was my introduction to Behemoth, but I still feel like, you know what, it works out well, and then, again, it blossomed into being my favorite album ever. But this new one, the way Infidel Amsterdam put it on his social media, I feel like described it best. It's not really Behemoth, it's more Nurgle and the Boys, which to me makes 100% sense. And it irritates me that I had to fucking say that, because like on the Satanist, I feel like everybody gave it their all. Like they're all back after fucking Evangelion and Nurgle's leukemia and all that. Like I was like it came back and they fucking gave it their all. Orion gave it everything he fucking had with the bass. It was very, and the mixing and the production, it was all very audible, and it kicked in when it needed to kick in. It's fantastic. The fuck Infernal, I know, gave it his all. Like, there was a lot of, in my opinion, really kind of innovative beats, fills, and whatnot. And then fucking Nurgle and Seth with their fucking, with the riffing and the solos, it was all fantastic. I loved it. And again, I know I'm repeating myself, but I knew this new album was not going to live up to expectations. I knew it. At least not for my personal pantheon. So I lowered them. I heard when God Equals Dog first got released, I was very stoked about it. I thought to myself, hell yeah, new Behemoth. I listened to it, I enjoyed it, and granted, I now agree with some dissenters, and it's God Equals Dog lost its luster for me, and it just, it's not, the children's choir at the end is just eh. And then Wolves of Siberia, Bartzabel, and all that, I never ended up listening to because I wanted the experience to be as fresh as possible. But God Equals Dog, I listened to right off the bat because I really wanted to hear a new fucking Behemoth album. I was stoked to shit for it. But this new album, it feels like Nurgle, it feels like Me and That Man Black Metal Edition, which is, if you don't know, that's Nurgle's folk like southern rock kind of shit that he put out. It sounds like his new project, and it bugs the shit out of me. It's not everybody contributing equally. It's Nurgle. Nurgle wanted to make a new album because it's been 4 fucking years, and he can't ride the Satanist for that much longer. Which and I'm more than willing to admit this, as Behemoth being my personal, one of my favorite fucking bands. I am more than willing to admit the fact that, Nurgle is dick riding the shit out of the Satanist. I have no problem with fucking admitting that. So 4 years later, they decide to make a new album, or Nurgle decides to make a new album, and it just sounds like there's no fucking heart and effort. Like, there's effort put into it, obviously, but it sounds like there was no heart in it. It's like he had some ideas for some riffs, and he wanted to make an album. He didn't care what fucking Inferno had to say. He didn't care what Seth or Orion had to say. That was it. Nurgle wanted to make an album, so we made a fucking album. And I'm gonna go through this track by track and give my opinion. So for Solve, or however the hell you want to pronounce it, it's the intro track to the album. It is really 2 minutes and 4 seconds of, I won't necessarily say filler, but what they did in 2 minutes and 4 seconds, they could have just as easily done in 45 without the fucking child choir going Elohim, Elohim, living God, I shall not forgive, Jesus Christ, I forgive thee not. Fucking, was it 3 times? They could have easily done that in not 3 minutes, in 30 seconds, 45 seconds. They could have done that. Nice little short opening track. But no, they drag it out to 2 minutes. I feel like it was entirely unnecessary, but maybe that's just me. So, Solve leads into Wolves of Siberia. Wolves of Siberia isn't exactly an unlistenable track, but at the same time, it's nothing memorable. Like, what it feels like to me is, I feel like this one guy that I watch, Atticus the Death Metaler, I feel like he put it best. Wolves of Siberia kind of sounds like a new album version of Amen from the Satanist. And again, it's not necessarily a bad track, it's just nothing memorable. It just sounds like they're rehashing the same shit from the last album almost. And then it just, I don't know. Nothing else I can really say about it other than it almost sounds like a lazy rehash of a song from the old album because I knew that formula worked. And the next song is God Equals Dog. And I already gave my opinion on it earlier, but to give it a very brief synopsis, it's at first I enjoyed it because it was fuck yeah, new Behemoth, and then it turned into it's okay at best, and then the fucking child choir comes in, and Jesus Christ, it's like it's not fucking it's I can't fucking get through that song without almost cracking a smile every now and then, and that's not a happy smile. That's like an amusement smile. Like, hey, they put this out, and they thought Nurgle thought that this is acceptable. Jesus Christ. So yeah, a brief synopsis. It's listenable, but it's not anything remotely memorable besides the child choir because that shit was just kind of fucking funny. And next on the album there is one of the two tracks that I consider genuinely kind of memorable is Ecclesia Diabolica Catholica or Catholica, however the fuck you want to say it. And yeah, I had to look to actually remember the damn title. But this track is actually kind of memorable, and on this track is the beginning of Nurgle Choir. I would have, as cringy as God Equal Dog and Solve's Children Choir was, I would have rather that than, or at least a mix up between the two rather than for like 4 or 5 fucking songs out of this album. It's not a genuine choir. It's Nurgle. It's a Nurgle choir with fucking reverb. I would have rather had the child choir again and again, or at least a mix up between Nurgle choir with reverb and child choir. But on this song, it's used, in my opinion, rather tastefully. It's not overdone. It serves its purpose and it doesn't overstay its welcome. The riff on the main riff for this one is actually fairly memorable, which lends itself really well in the song's favor. But ultimately, if I had to choose between this or say something from Satanica, I'd probably choose something from Satanica or uh Sventivith or Grom or something. But ultimately, the song is actually kind of memorable. Like I would add this to say a workout playlist rather than something where I want to take in the entirety of Behemoth and enjoy it. And so the next song on this album is Bartzabel. This is kind of another travesty of a song. It starts off with a minute and a half of Inferno on the drums, mostly just the toms and a couple cymbal crashes. But it's the same for literally most of the song. It is the same fucking riff, if you even want to call it that. It's it's like it's 7 strings being plucked individually, and here we get the Nurgle choir again for most of the 5-minute song. Take away the first minute and a half of the drums of Inferno doing whatever the hell it is Inferno's doing in this song. Take away the first minute and a half, and you've only got 3.5 minutes actually of a fucking song. And for most of it, it is Nurgle choir going, bow to me, Bartzabel. with, the lyrics coming in afterwards. But for most of the fucking song, it is Bow to Me, Bartzabel, with the same fucking drum pattern and the same fucking 7 different string picks on the guitar. It is a travesty of a song, and I see what they were going for with this song. I really do. They weren't necessarily going for something just like the Satanist. They were going for they're kind of the how do I put this? They were going for a kind of a song that would stand alone, and people wouldn't immediately be like, "Oh, is this from the Satanist or is this from I Loved You at Your Darkest?" The song stands alone on its own for this album, but not in a good way. It is repetitive as shit. I'm not saying that a repetitive song can't be good. For fuck's sake, one of my favorite albums from last year was Bell Witch with Mirror Reaper. And granted, that isn't even necessarily a repetitive song. It's just, like, you have to have a certain expectation when it comes to doom metal, is that sometimes it's going to be a little bit repetitive because people, like, the musicians will get lost in the riff, and that's totally fine. But this is black and death metal we're talking about. And even then, it's used with mild distortion and not anything really significant besides the mild distortion. It's the same fucking drum pattern, the same fucking riff, if you want to call it that, and fucking Nurgle choir for 3.5 minutes of the fucking song. It gets on my nerves very easily, and I hate the fact that this is a Behemoth song. It just genuinely irritates me. I don't think it's very good at all, and it's not very fucking memorable. And not even in the way that God Equals Dog with the children's choir wasn't memorable. It's just not memorable. It does not leave any lasting impact on me, and that's a shame, honestly. Next song on the roster for the album is If Crucifixion Was Not Enough. This song is another one that just kind of fucking irritates me. Now, keep in mind, what song was it? Why am I forgetting? Why am I an invalid? Whatever the fucking song is on the Satanist. Messe Noir. Okay, Messe Noir is the song that this brings back memories of. If Crucifixion Was Not Enough almost sounds like a discount Messe Noir, and the reason why is because in Messe Noir, you had Inferno doing this, in my opinion, what is kind of an impressive ride. Forgive me if I'm wrong, I don't really know drums that well. But in Messe Noir, you had Inferno doing this really impressive, I think it's a 20-inch ride cymbal beat. Almost like a trap beat, almost. It was really interesting, and he had other parts in there that really caught my attention. And don't get me wrong, the riffs to Messe Noir on the Satanist were also fantastic. But I feel like it was Inferno's drumming that really carried a lot of the song. And the last minute of the song, I want to say, was just instrumental. It was a guitar solo and drums, and that was about it. Orion's bass really wasn't that too pronounced on Messe Noir, and it's not on If Crucifixion Was Not Enough either. But here's the start of my least fucking favorite beat that Inferno has used at least so far on this album. This is the first time, but from what I'm remembering currently, he's used the beat twice, at least with the kicks, and it's been it almost sounds like I'm in a haunted house featuring Nurgle from Behemoth doing guitars and vocals. that's what it gives me images of. It gives me like flashbacks to playing fucking it gives me flashbacks to playing Gauntlet Dark Legacy almost with some of the graveyard levels, and that's not a good thing. When I think of Gauntlet Dark Legacy, I think of some really fantastic music, but I don't think of fucking what is supposed to be black and death metal. And granted, I'm not saying that I could do that. I'm not saying that it's not an impressive beat, but that to me does not fit with the vibe of the song. And I get that Inferno is probably just playing whatever the fuck Nurgle told him to at this point. But it does not fit. To me, it does not fit with the song whatsoever. And whereas the last minute and a half of Messe Noir had a pretty damn good guitar solo, good not fills, but just good drums from Inferno. The last minute and a fucking half of If Crucifixion Was Not Enough is and nothing special from Inferno whatso fucking ever. It's just the same part fucking repeated again, just like it fucking was in the same part repeated again and again and fucking again, just like it was in Bartzabel. Fucking, that's the last song. And I'm not a fan of it. I'm just fucking not. It hurts to say, but it's like they tried to make it discount Messe Noir and they failed pretty fucking miserably at it. Next song on the roster is, I literally just saw it, Angels 13. I don't really have anything to say about this song in particular. It doesn't really piss me off. It doesn't really strike a chord with me. It's just kind of there. And best way to call it is just filler, I guess. It's listenable by any and all means. Like, if for fucking some reason it came on the radio, I wouldn't exactly turn it off. But at the same time, it's not really doing anything for me. That's all I can really say about it, honestly. Next on the album, we have Sabbath Matter. Or Mater, whatever the fuck. My initial listen through, this is the first song that I heard from this whole thing that genuinely fucking angered me. It sounds like it's gonna start off pretty damn strong. It sounds like it's gonna be like, hey, like, this might not be the sanest, but we have a decent song for about the first minute. And then it breaks into the riff. It's not too bad. Decent tremolo picking, and it sounds like it's going to be promising. And then we hear the fucking kick pattern from fucking Inferno again, and with really just. I know that's out of time as shit, but forgive me, I'm not a drummer. But it's with that, and then comes in the fucking Nurgle choir again. The Nurgle choir with it makes it sound like I'm in a fucking haunted house, featuring distortion for the waiting line to get into the haunted house. That's exactly what it makes me fucking think of. It's goofy as shit, and I can't fucking stand it. It genuinely sounds like they become a fucking parody of themselves. And I hate to fucking say it, but it's like, Nurgle's ego went from him starting out, then about midway with the Satanist and a little bit before that, definitely, but probably about there, to fucking here with this fucking album. It genuinely sounds like this is like a Nurgle song, because again, the fucking Nurgle choir comes in again with the kick pattern that I can't fucking stand, and it just, oh god. Again, I thought Inferno was gonna do something kind of impressive on the song, and it sounds alright. But you guys remember that one fucking So you guys remember that one song from the Satanist, Ora Pro Nobis Lucifer, one of the best fucking tracks off of that album, when uh after the fucking instrumental break, Inferno starts at the I don't know what the fuck they are, but the very small toms and builds down. He does something similar to that. It just goes and not even impressive in the same way that Slaves Shall Serve is impressive. And it wasn't even as fast as my tongue was going, but that's about how it sounds, just fucking slower. It is not that fast. It's really not that impressive. It almost sounds like, oh hey, I did it once on this album. I want to make use of this equipment again, which you need if you want to make use of their fucking drums that you paid a shitload of money for. Be my guest, but it literally just sounds like that part from Over Pro Nobis Lucifer thrown back in there again. And actually, as I'm talking about this, I'm kind of having a revelation. The Nurgle Choir, to me, is almost like that one really cool part in Ben Sahar when it goes into a non-distorted acoustic break with Nurgle talking in Polish. I think that might have been what his shtick was for this album, but it does not work out in the album's favor. It doesn't work out in his favor. Nobody's. Because it's repeated ad nauseum. It is ridiculous. The drum pattern I can't fucking stand. The Nurgle choir I can't tolerate. Inferno does really nothing that impressive on this song. It's very repetitive again. And it's a disappointment. And this is the first song on my initial listen through that's pissed me off. And it still pisses me off, to be frank. And next on the roster, we have the only other song on this album that I really consider worth a shit is Avohe Pantokrator. I honestly I can dig this song. If I were to put this on a playlist of black and death metal songs, I would not if a playlist of black and death metal songs was presented to me, I would not skip past this. Honestly, I feel like it's pretty solid, the lyrics side, and which is another thing that's kind of a bummer about this song. One thing that is the kind of the letdown of the song is the fact that it sounds like an edgy fucking teenager Satanist going on ranting about or trying to make some satanic chant to piss off his mom and dad. Our Father who art in hell, unhallowed be thy name. Like, Nurgle, your lyrics have always been on fucking point. What the hell were you thinking with this song? Now, don't get me wrong, me from 5-6 years ago would have thought that that's spooky as shit or badass. But here, it sounds like he tries way too hard to come off as an edge god. Apart from that, like I said, the song is actually worth a damn. I would not skip past it if I found it on loop on my rotation one day. And the last minute and 15 seconds, they do what they tried to do on one of the previous songs, exactly what they did for Messe Noir. About the last minute and 15 is all instrumental, and it's repetitive, but it serves a better purpose than what it did previously. It doesn't sound as annoyingly repetitive. I think possibly because it came from a decent guitar solo and good drum work from Inferno. It doesn't sound. And maybe it's because it didn't outstay its welcome this time around. Maybe that extra 15 seconds really didn't make that big of a difference, which it very well might be the case. But yeah, Havohai Pantokrator, I'd say go ahead and check it out. Maybe you'll have a different opinion than me, but I feel like it's worth at least a listen. And the next one for the album is Rom 58 or Romans 58. Again, this is another song, in my opinion, similar to If Crucifixion Was Not Enough. It just it not doesn't really do anything for me. It doesn't make me unnecessarily angry. It doesn't really make me happy to hear it. It's just okay. I guess this is here now. Best way to describe it is filler. And lastly, before the intro or the outro track, we have "We Are the Next 1,000 Years." Again, there's really not too much I can say about this song. It's just kind of there. There's some decent work from Inferno though on drums. I'm going to give credit where credit is due. From Inferno, like I said, Inferno does some decent work on the song. It's nothing technically impressive. It's nothing blindingly fast, but it's there. And again, this is another song where it doesn't make me angry. It doesn't really make me happy overwhelmingly. It's just there, and if it's there, then oh well. I wouldn't go so far as to call it filler because I it's at least a step. It's at least a step above fucking Romans 58. But that's about all I have to say about it, honestly. And the last track on it, what is the name of it? What is the name of it? Is Quagla Quagvla. It's an instrumental track to close out the album. Really, that's all I have to say about I Loved You at Your Darkest. This is a kind of a mixture of a Complain-A-Thon and my thoughts on, but all in all, I was not impressed with this album. As a matter of fact, it irritated me a lot at several points, and I don't want to be irritated when I'm listening to a band that I have such major respect for, like Behemoth. I don't want to be irritated, and I don't want to be underwhelmed. I just want to be like, hey, more than half of this album I'd recommend to someone. And I didn't even get that. And I don't want this to be a case of I go back and listen to it. I listened to it once, maybe twice, and just, oh yeah, this album fucking sucks. I've listened to this probably about 4 times now, just trying to see if I can get into it, trying to put myself through that. Ultimately, it has left no lasting impression on me apart from agitation. Not because it didn't live up to not because it didn't live up to the bar that was set to me by the Satanist, but mostly because I just felt like a quarter of this album is filler. 2 songs are worth noting, and the rest of them just aren't really worth the fucking paper that they were written on or the money that it cost to record them. I would rather an EP come out with the good songs and 1 or 2 songs of filler. But instead, we got something that's very underwhelming. It sounds like Nurgle and the boys group wanted to make an album for the sake of making an album because they couldn't dick ride the Satanist anymore. That's exactly what this album is to me, and I'd give it a 3 out of 10. That's all she wrote, guys. I'm tired as hell. I'm upset about this album, and yeah, I'm sorry I subjected to this. Almost 35 fucking minutes of this, but yeah, if you stuck around, thank you very much. And if not, I don't blame you. Uh, stick around for more videos. There should be some coming up relatively soon. Deuces.